Okay, so now we're going to start on problem 3. So this is all information that we're probably going to use later, but the question doesn't come until the bottom. So it says the very first question is that we want to calculate the company's margin, turnover, and return on investment for 2012. So these are formulas that we're going to have to memorize. So let's write those down. So the very first thing I want to do whenever I have a formula question is I want to write down those formulas. This is why I encourage students to actually begin with the back of the test and begin with these write-on problems, because it could help you answer some multiple choice questions if one of them has to do with a formula, something like that. So that's something I would suggest. So let's first determine the formula for margin. So I'm going to write, oh, you can't see that. I'm going to write margin up here. So the margin is equal to net operating income, and sorry about that, net operating income. We can't see that, we're going to make that bigger. It's going to be net operating income over sales. So that's the formula. So what's really nice about this problem is they actually gave us the net operating income. So I'm just going to highlight that across. So they gave us that $540,000. So we're going to go back to up here, and I'm going to put $540,000 on the top of my equation. And now I need to find my sales. So my sales would be my sales revenue. So that's this number. So it'd be $1,900,000. So I'm going to do that as well. I'm going to put that right here. So that one's not too bad. We would just divide those, and I got either 0.284 or 28.4%. So that changes. It doesn't really matter what you write. We'll be able to figure it out. Okay, so the next one that we want to determine, it tells us that we want to do turnover. So we did margin, let's do turnover. So again, we want to write the formula. So turnover is going to be equal to sales over average operating assets. Okay, so this is going to require a little bit of work. So this is actually going to be, because we need to figure out this average operating assets. So let's kind of go through that. So I have this balance sheet here, and so this is why we have all this information. So let's think about things that might be operating. So what goes into us operating our company? So cash, do you think cash goes into operating? It probably does. We're probably using cash quite a bit to operate our business. We're probably taking some money out of savings, putting it back into savings, spending money, giving money, all that kind of stuff. So then we have accounts receivable. That one's actually should be pretty obvious to us, because if we're accounts receivable, that's money we are receiving for our products. So that's something we definitely want to include. Inventory, again, kind of same kind of concept as accounts receivable. We have inventory to sell it, so that would definitely be operating. Okay, so then we have some kind of different ones down here. So property and equipment. So the way I like to think about it is it impacting my business? Is it helping me with my business? And so for this one, it looks like we're a manufacturer. So that equipment and that property, that's probably like our plant and then our equipment that we're using. So that probably is operating, actually. Marketable securities. So this is probably something that I would call an investment. So this is actually not something we're concerned with in terms of operating. And then land undeveloped. They don't really give me too much information about that land, and I'm probably not using it if it's undeveloped, so I'm probably holding it for investment. So that's not something that I would think is operating. So we're kind of jumping back to financial accounting, so that's kind of fun. Okay, so we calculated these things. So, it looks nice that we can kind of have those top four. It's kind of easy to transfer over. So I'm going to calculate there's a schedule in the solution if you guys were hoping to catch the answer for that. So hopefully I can do this rather quickly. So just take a minute and look at that solution, but I'm going to also write it here. So we just transferred the numbers. So here's 2012, 2011, so 260, 125, 215, and then 150,000. So total, that gives us 750,000 for 2012. And then over here, I want to do the same thing. So I'm just going to copy over the numbers from the balance sheet. That's where I'm getting these numbers, is the balance sheet. If you can tell, those are all the same numbers. Okay, and then that total together is 785,000. Okay, so really quick, it says that we want average operating assets. So if it says average, that means we want 2 years. We don't just want one. So here's year 1, or year 2, I'm sorry, I guess it's 2012. So year 2012 and year 2011. So what we would do is we would actually add those two together. And then we would divide them by how many? 2, because there's 2 years that we're dividing. So that gives me 767,500. So that number I'm going to put on the bottom of my equation. And then sales actually is just from the same one, so I'm just gonna pull that down from that information above. Oh, I guess you couldn't have seen that. So I put sales up here on margin, so I'm just gonna pull that right down and use it too. So I got 2.476 as my answer, and that's my turnover. All right, so the last thing, and so this is what we would call like a multiplier. It's not a percentage, as you can see. So this is just, it's something that if she asks you, it's gonna be considered more of a multiplier. Okay, so the next thing that we wanna do is it says we wanna do return on investment. So we did turnover, we wanna do return on investment. So we're gonna write that formula right here. So return on investment is going to be margin times turnover. And we calculated both of those numbers. So we can do 2.84, or I'm sorry, 2.284 times 2.476. And that gives me 70.32%. I would do it this way just because it's easier. If you look at the solution, you can see the alternate way to do it, but this is the way that makes the most sense to me. Okay, I hope that was helpful, and we will continue on to the next problem in the next video.